love wiffle ball. No other way to explain it. Just something about the game, the feel of the grass, smacking the ball all over the field, making plays, diving head first, whatever it takes to get the job done. That's what wiffle ball means to me. Striking out grown men, watching their knees buckle on a called third strike. Sit out, bud. And then, of course, the home runs, the base hits, the big home runs at the big moments. That's a whiff of greatness. Join us all season long for the Joe Aguirre Story, a CMG podcast.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R and J. I am Steve Risher along with Justin D'Onofrio. And for the first time in 2 years, it was great to have March Madness back. I mean, it was a really, really fun first weekend. We had a ton of upsets. We had obviously Oral Roberts with those huge upsets over Ohio State and Florida. We had Loyola with getting to the Sweet 16, knocking Illinois out. We had some upsets. We had Abilene Christian beating Texas. We had Oregon getting to the Sweet 16, upsetting Iowa. So we had a ton of upsets in the first week of the NCAA tournament. Obviously, we had Syracuse too as the number 11 seed getting to the Sweet 16. We got about 4 double-digit seeds getting to the Sweet 16. So this has been a crazy tournament, the tournament of upsets, and for me it's been really exciting. I mean, it's great to have this back because we definitely missed this last year, and now we have it back. So I really enjoyed this weekend, and I hope this weekend is as good as it was the opening weekend.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was such a crazy weekend, all the upsets. And it's we kind of missing it last year. Kind of I feel like more it's like. It was just it was a really special weekend with Oral Roberts and Syracuse as well. Oregon State, the Pac-12, the way they played, and I was trying to say, I'm not taking this tournament for granted anymore, and how great it is and how much I missed it a lot last year. It was tough, but understand with the circumstances, everything was going on last year. But yeah, it was an exciting tournament. There was so much going on. Like Thursday, Friday, there were just so many close games. It felt like the only blowout in the first round were like the 1-16 matchups. Everything else seemed like it was going down in the last 2 minutes, which was also great.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it really started with Oral Roberts. They've been the story of this tournament. Max Asmus, they've been the story of this tournament. Obviously, that Ohio State game was that first upset, the upset everyone wants. That was the upset everybody wanted from the tournament. Was Oral Roberts beating Ohio State. That was like the upset everyone wanted. And Liddell missed that free throw, and then Oral Roberts ties the game, and then Oral Roberts ends up winning in overtime. So and then they go on to beat Florida. So they've really been a big story in this tournament. Obviously, Loyola, Sister Jean, that's back. That story's back. That's back with Loyola being in the Sweet 16, and then obviously with some of the upsets on Saturday too, and then obviously Syracuse's run to the Sweet 16. So it's been a really fun. It's been a really fun tournament. But here's a question I wanted to ask, and we had a lot of upsets this weekend, but were there too many upsets? And in my opinion, I think there were too many upsets because here's my example. All right, I know you disagree here, but here's my example why. Like Abilene Christian meeting Texas, 99 times out of 100, Texas was going to win that game. And then the game after was absolutely terrible between UCLA and Abilene Christian. That was a horrible game. So you would rather watch that than watch watch Texas play UCLA. You'd rather watch Abilene Christian lose by 20 to UCLA than see them play Texas. Another example, Ohio and Virginia. Ohio upsets Virginia, and then the next round, Creighton, Ohio, is another bad game. So that's another game. Would you rather see Virginia play Creighton? And then a third example, North Texas beating Purdue, and I did pick that upset because I thought that Purdue was really young and would struggle in the NCAA tournament. One of the few things I was right about in the NCAA tournament. But but then you see North Texas play Villanova in another game that was not entertaining. So you'd rather see those three entertaining games. So you'd rather have you'd rather see Abilene Christian play UCLA than Texas play UCLA. You'd rather see Ohio play Creighton than Virginia play Creighton, and you'd rather see North Texas play Villanova than Purdue play Villanova. And people claim they love upsets. I didn't mind. I didn't mind the first one. The first one was fine, and I didn't mind the second one too with North Texas. But after that, I was done with upsets. And I like all these people that say they love upsets, but come on now. If they'll love upsets, then they'll complain when they're watching Abilene Christian lose by 20 to UCLA.
No, I wasn't complaining watching that.
I know you were complaining
because I thought it was going to be closer. I thought Abilene
because you liked Abilene Christian going in.
Yeah, I did. I don't know why I didn't pick them one in my bracket. It's still, I'm still very disappointed in myself to this day, right? Still on Wednesday about that. But it's, these upsets, that's just what makes Martinez great. And I know, like the North Texas Purdue one, you're right. With all the young talent they had, they didn't look ready to play. Texas just, all the turnovers they had, Abilene Christian does a great job of turning you over, and then Ohio, I felt like they could just not buy a bucket. And I thought if they could hit a couple, Jason Preston's been great all year, and he just could not buy a bucket. If he could hit a couple shots, Ohio would have made that game much closer. But this is the fun. Like, I wouldn't care if it's 2-14 seeds in the national championship game. I'd love to see that. That would be great. Like, I don't really care, That's what makes March Madness great. It's all the upsets, all the craziness. Because what other sport or what other tournament do we ever see craziness like this? Never happens in college football.
I know. College football's only 4 teams. That's why.
Yeah, and if you bring up group of 5 of the committee, they back away, and I'm like, NBA never happens. 1-8 beats an 8 seed beats a 1. NHL once in a while it does. MLB, I'm like a wild card. I'm like, like this year, the Padres could win 103 games. Dodgers could win 105. They could meet, and it's like, that's not really an upset. Like, this is the only sport that you just never know what's going to happen. And that's the great thing about this tournament.
It is the great thing about the tournament. It is the part that's a lot of that's fun about the tournament, especially in the opening weekends. But the problem with having a ton of upsets is brackets get ruined and ratings go down later on in the tournament because more people don't have those teams in their brackets. What you kind of need is to have maybe one upset, maybe 2 max. Big upsets where like a 14 beats a 3 or 15 beats a 2. Maybe have 2 of those upsets max, and then have some of those lower seeded teams give the higher seeded teams good games, but have the higher seeded teams win. And then when you get later on to the tournament, you'll have more people watching because more people's brackets won't be busted the first weekend. That's the biggest issue with upsets for me is a lot of brackets get busted first weekend because of all the upsets.
They do. And I think, for me, I kind of like, look, my bracket busts too, but I kind of like, I'd rather see like a Loyola and Oregon State kind of than like, I know Illinois, Oklahoma State would have been great, but I'd rather kind of see a matchup like this instead of chalk. That's just me.
I mean, you didn't want to see Oklahoma play Illinois State play Illinois. That was probably gonna be the best matchup of the tournament if that happened.
No, that definitely could have been. But I'm just somebody, I'd rather see just 2 teams that nobody thought of was gonna get to this point and match up. Maybe ratings go down a bit, but I think you still get enough. Like Oral Roberts. People love Oral Roberts now. Their ratings are gonna be great Saturday night against Arkansas, I bet. I think people do love it. Yeah, people's brackets get busted, but I think like the great thing about this is it's just the craziness. Yeah, you lose some of those brand teams, but I guess going in, it's like we didn't have most of the blue bloods this year, and I heard ratings were up. Or they were down 3% from 2019, but again, that was Zion and all that, but it was up 4 or 5% from 2018. So the ratings are up.
But a big reason for that is the first time the tournament didn't happen last year, so more people are watching because the tournament didn't happen last year.
Yeah, it didn't, and I think that's good for the tournament going forward. I think even with kind of an Oral Roberts in there with the Oregon State Loyola matchup, I think you're still gonna get good rating. I like it. I just like the unpredictability. I rather see that than just a bunch of 1 seeds all in the Elite Eight. Like, look, one time all 4 1 seeds I've been in the Final Four was 07. It's just the unpredictability. I love it, and that's why it makes the bracket so hard to predict. Everybody's bracket's pretty much.
All right, Chase. Steve talked about how much you wanted Illinois, Oklahoma State last week. I did not jinx it from happening. No, I didn't. So stop with the whole I jinxed it from happening. It's just how the NCAA tournament is sometimes. Oklahoma State will have a really bad game. Illinois will have a really Tsumu can't hit a shot for Illinois. And Loyola and Oregon State played well. So I didn't jinx it from happening. Stop with that. But yeah, I really wanted that matchup. So there's like 2 matchups I really wanted to see in this tournament. I wanted to see Illinois, Oklahoma State, and I wanted to see Iowa play Gonzaga. I wanted to see Garza go up against the best team, but we're not going to see that. So that's why, yes, I don't mind having 1 or 2 upsets during the tournament, but I'm not a fan of all these upsets or these 7 seeds beating 2 seeds. I know, the Oregon USC matchup is interesting because it's they're both in the same conference, but all these like 8s beating 1, 7s beating 2s. I mean, again, 1 or 2 upsets is fine for me. I don't want to have a bunch.
And I see your point, and it's like, yeah, we want to see the big brands here. I get it, but to me, it just makes it, and especially for these smaller schools like Oral Roberts and for their conference, they get a boatload of money for being the Sweet 16 now. Again, like the SEC doesn't need that money. The Big Ten doesn't need that money. Again, it's nice to see these smaller schools be able to earn that money, even for Loyola in the Missouri Valley. They get a nice chunk of money now. Because we all bring up money and how important it is right now in college athletics. It's great for these smaller teams to get exposure. My favorite one was like Florida Gulf Coast. That was great to see them get to Sweet 16. When I went to Fort Myers a few years ago, I tried to find a Florida Gulf Coast shirt anywhere. I was surprisingly could not find one.
You couldn't find one in the Sweet 16 a couple of years afterwards? Wow.
No, I was shocked. You
would probably worn it all the time. You love the mid majors.
Oh yeah. I love it. I love seeing all these small schools go at it. They're one of my favorites.
Yeah, you even watch them during the regular season. Like I hadn't watched like any of these, like Oral Roberts. I didn't watch a game until they played Ohio State. You probably watched Oral Roberts before they played Ohio State.
Yeah, I did. And I saw they were a 4 seed and they shot the lights out. They couldn't rebound. That's why I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to stay away from them. I figured Liddell would dominate them, but again, it happened. They knocked them off, but I did see them, and and then I want to actually like a team like Eastern Washington, like on Saturday, that's the other fun part I feel like in this tournament too. Is that team looked like you could watch it, you can look at the team and say, man, we could get a group of 5 together at YMCA and probably beat these guys. Like they don't look, they didn't look like Tanner Groves looked like he was like a lumberjack.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a great thing of seeing these teams, and that's like the fun of the Big Sky. Actually, like there's just a lot of teams that play that way. Like the Big Sky is one of my favorite mid-major conferences.
Yeah, you probably do watch the Big Sky a lot.
Yeah. I wish I saw it because the Groves won Player of the Year, Tanner, but like he didn't dominate a game. Like, he averaged 16, and I thought he was a pretty good player, but I didn't think he was gonna put up 40. I wish he did. I would have hyped him up last week, but. I was disappointed when they lost. I was very, very disappointed when they lost.
I was one who wanted to see Kansas USC, but the problem is Kansas USC was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, well, if Eastern Washington probably would have put up a better game than them, and Kansas would have.
You got a little bit of a point there. But to wrap it up, yeah, I know we have different views on it. I like to see an upset or 2, but I want to see the best teams play late in the tournament. You like to see, you wouldn't mind seeing Loyola. You wouldn't mind seeing Loyola go to the Final Four. You wouldn't mind seeing like Loyola play like Oregon State late in the tournament.
That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
I forgot they actually play each other. Yeah, they play each other.
I figured you just do an example. Like
I would say like Loyola, like Loyola and Syracuse in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'd be a huge Loyola fan, but I would love that.
Yeah. So talking about, we talk about upsets and we talk about, power conferences. We'll talk about two power conferences that were supposed to be the two best conferences in college basketball. But the big question is, were the Big Ten and the Big 12 overrated this year? Seeing what happened, with them in the tournament, seeing the fact in the Big Ten, they only have one team left, that's Michigan, and seeing that the Big 12 only has one team left in Baylor. I don't think the conferences were overrated, in my opinion. I just think the NCAA tournament, it's so random what happens. It's just when one game, it's so hard to say. I don't think that makes either conference overrated. I just think they just had bad luck in the NCAA tournament. I mean, they didn't. I'm not saying bad luck, but they just didn't play well on one day, and I think that just happens. I just don't think either conference is overrated.
Yeah, and I know I texted you that I thought the Big Ten was overrated. I thought more about it, the last few days. And I think it was more too, just, some of the teams just, did not have a great game in the first round or second round. I also think too that with how deep both conferences were, I just think a lot of the teams just beat each other up. And I think most of the teams just wore down by the end, by when the eye here again. It was just such a weird, unprecedented year that, I just think both conferences wore each other down. Maybe they're a little bit overhyped because I thought we'd see a little bit more out of them, like the Big Ten. Like I thought this was the year where they were finally going to break their streak and finally get their first champion.
They still could. They still could with Michigan.
They still could. They, probably should have lost. Chauncey Brown and Eli Brooks saved them, but so I think maybe there's a little bit overhyped, maybe. But again, I wouldn't consider both kinds overrated. I think they just beat each other up, and just this weird year, they just wore down.
Yeah, I do agree. A lot of beating each other up. But yeah, I'm not going to sit there. A lot of people are saying they're overrated. I don't think either conference is overrated. I think they both were really good conferences this year. But there's another conference that has been surprisingly good in the NCAA tournament. You look at out of the 5 teams, they've had 4 in the Elite Eight: UCLA, Oregon, USC. They play each other. And I'm trying to think about the last UC. We got UCLA. We got
Oregon State.
Oregon State. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, the team that won the Pac-12. So yeah, I think the Pac-12 has played really well, and I think actually the Pac-12 was a little bit underrated because you look at the way Oregon State's played in this tournament. They beat Tennessee and Oklahoma State by double digits. They UCLA. Yes, I think UCLA got very lucky with their second round opponent with Abilene Christian. I think Texas would have been a much tougher opponent if they had to play them in the second round. So I think UCLA got a little bit lucky there. But then you look at Oregon. Oregon goes in, and they got a little bit of a break. They got a little bit of a break too, because VCU. So they got a little bit of a break too. But still, they played really well against Iowa. And then you got USC, and USC was really impressive. So I think the Pac-12 was a little bit better than people thought.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you. Maybe crazy old Bill Walton was on to something this year. I never agree with him. No, actually, I did hear too. Larry Scott was talking to somebody. I'm not sure how. It sounds like they're trying to get in touch with Bill Walton. So we may have. Again, I don't know if it's possible Bill Walton could call a game on CBS this week.
It's probably going to call that last one too.
Probably.
It'll be the last one. That Oregon USC game. They'll probably call that one.
Probably, if it's any, I could see that happening. I don't know about it, but again, we'll see. But yeah, the Pac-12 was pretty underrated. Oregon's a top 15 team. I've said it the last few weeks. Will Richardson was hurt. They had some COVID issues. They had Nafali Dante out for the remainder of the year. They're big guys, so they're underrated. USC. Yeah, they've been playing really well. Oregon State, Wayne Tinkle's a really, really good coach. I got to give Mick Cronin a lot of credit. Johnny Jinzu's been playing really well.
Yeah, he played well the other night, yeah. Mick Corona was hated by a lot of UConn fans, but he is a good coach.
Yeah, he is. He finally got that monkey off his back and got out of the first week.
The thing about him, though, is I think he seems like a pretty good guy, though. I know UConn fans couldn't stand him for some reason, but he seems like a pretty good guy.
Yeah, he does.
We just act crazy though during those UConn games.
Yeah. I think they call him like the leprechaun.
The angry leprechaun.
Yeah, the angry leprechaun. Yep. But yeah, I think it's just because he's just a really tough guy. He's crazy. His teams are great defensively, and he plays a lot of zone just because they're banged up front. That's why I do think Texas would have beat them because of how banged up they are up front. But yeah, the Pac-12 is a really underrated again, Arizona State, I was really looking forward to the beginning of the year, but they had their injuries. I thought it was a team too that could make a run this year, but again, it didn't happen. Yeah, Oregon State right now is playing really well. This is definitely very underrated. Even Colorado, it was unfortunate Monday for them, but yeah, again, they got to find a way to get better TV windows. They have to. I know they did a little bit better this year because there was a couple of Saturdays where they had games at like 2, but they still got to try to get rid of those 11 o'clock games as best as possible.
Yeah, because the thing is you never see the Pac-12 game. That was definitely the conference I watched the least of this year was the Pac-12.
Yeah, usually I'll admit, usually it is for me too. Usually Thursday night I will try to stay up as much as possible. But again, it's like I could stay up to halftime. I can't stay up to 1. I try if it's maybe an Oregon or, versus UCLA or something, but it's tough. It's tough to be able to do that. So, yeah, in the Pac-12 network, with them firing Larry Scott or not retaining his contract, either or, whatever it is. Again, here
we go. Here we go with Jace. You guys got a bedtime. Jace, okay? I can't stay up till, 2 o'clock in the morning and watch Pac-12 basketball. Okay, I'm sorry. You guys got a bedtime. I mean, come on now. Come on. I'm 30 years old. I can't be staying up till freaking 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning to watch college basketball. Okay, sorry. Okay, I don't have a bedtime. I'm just a human being that needs rest. Okay, I'm sorry that I can't stay up till. Okay, bummer. I can't stay up all night and watch college basketball. Okay, I really can't do that.
Yeah, I admit. Usually it's like I can, and then it's like I fall asleep during halftime because it's just I can't. And that's usually my problem. I wake up and it's 2 a.m. if the game's over. So I try as best as possible, but it doesn't always happen. But whoever they hired, the new Pac-12 commissioner, they have to get Pac-12 network on more on just more TV networks. They have to get more exposure.
Yes.
And again, if they could do that, again, it'll be great for the Pac-12.
Absolutely. Yes. There just weren't enough Pac-12 games that were on at a time on the East Coast that I could watch them.
Yeah, that's the problem. That Thursday night game at 10, 11 o'clock, it's just it's tough. I get it. It's a lot of East Coast people don't really stay up and see them play. That's why I also say Cruz Duarte. The guy played at Duke. He'd be an All-American.
Yeah. Nobody sees his games. That's the thing. No one sees his games at all.
Yeah, and that's the problem. And hopefully they can get more exposure.
Yeah. So the Pac-12, I think, very underrated conference. They've really proved it in the NCAA tournament. So we'll get to the Sweet 16 games. We'll start with the games on Saturday. We'll start with the South region. We'll start with Baylor, with the region with Baylor, Villanova. They're going to play in the first game on Saturday night, and then the Oral Roberts Arkansas game. They'll play in the second game. And I got a couple questions, and the first one is can Oral Roberts carry this momentum to the Final Four?
It's going to be very tough. They're going to have to be able to shoot the ball very well because you've seen they're not great on the boards. They get absolutely owned. I think they give up about 13 or 14 rebounds a game or offensive rebounds a game. Cage, Oborn and Abness, if they shoot, they can they can shoot to win the Final Four. They really can. But can they make enough stops and could they rebound the basketball? It's going to be the toughest thing for Oral Roberts.
Where do you have them? Losing in this this region? Elite 8 or Sweet 16?
I do think it's going to be the Sweet 16 against Arkansas. They played Arkansas tough the first time. They gave up 57 points in the second half. Arkansas was just able to kind of use their size to kind of dominate them. They put up 57 points in the second half, but they stayed with it. Oral Roberts, I think, had it down to 6 with about 2 minutes left, or no, like 1:15. And Arkansas hit some free throws to kind of ice it. So they were Oral Roberts up by 10 at the half. Joseph Smith at 22-17. They got to figure out a way to slow him down. But if they can't, I think it could be a really long night for Oral Roberts. But Max Avis in that game was like 3 for 12. He did not shoot well at all. Other guys kind of stepped up around him. They may need that on Saturday night.
Yes. We'll see what happens there. And who do you have winning this region?
Right now, I do still have the Baylor Bears. I am looking forward to if it goes according to plan, Baylor and Arkansas. I think that could be a really fun matchup, an up and down game. But I think Baylor could edge them out. I just think their guards are so good. But again, I think Villanova could give Baylor a test Saturday night. But I think Baylor right now is playing some really good basketball, and I think they could be able to win this region.
Yeah, I think Baylor is clearly the favorite to win the region. And in my opinion, I got Baylor beating Villanova. I just think Jay Wright's done a great job. He's a top 5 coach in college basketball, one of the best, but I think Baylor's going to be too much for him. And I got actually Oral Roberts upsetting Arkansas. So I got Oral Roberts and Baylor in the Elite 8, and I got Baylor heading to the Final Four.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I would love to see Oral Roberts get to the Elite 8. I'll be cheering for him, but that'd be great. Very cool thing to see a 15 seed. First time ever. That'd be the first one ever.
Wow. Yeah, but the first time if Oral Roberts wins on Saturday, it'd be the first time a 15 goes to the Elite 8, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's the only second time it's 15 down in the Sweet 16. That was Florida Gulf Coast. So it's a very rare occurrence.
Oh, wow. So we'll go to the Midwest region. This is the most wide open region right now because of Illinois losing. You got Oregon State, Loyola, Syracuse, and Houston. The 2 teams I had the Elite 8 are both out, West Virginia and Illinois, who had won the national championship. So, Justin, what are the chances that we see a Loyola-Syracuse matchup in the Elite 8?
I think it's very possible. Houston's very, very good defensively. And that's what I'm really looking forward to this matchup. Is how does Houston kind of contain Buddy? And again, everybody on Syracuse really stepped up and shot the ball really well. The last few weeks for the Orange. How does Houston attack the zone? Again, I think Calvin Sampson's smart enough to put a guy at the free throw line and be able to attack it that way. Because I don't know why Huggins waited so long to do that, and San Diego State was just they didn't even try, but they were out of the game in 5 minutes. But that again, there's a good chance Syracuse could shoot the ball really well. I think Houston's going to be able to dominate them on the board, but if they can kind of somehow hold their own, it's very possible for the Orange to win this game. For Loyola, I really do love the Ramblers in this game. I texted you Sunday. I kind of said it on the Posting Up podcast yesterday. Porter Moser just reminds me a ton of Brad Stevens when he was at Butler. They don't have a ton of talent, but they deflect every pass. They don't give up on any plays. They're smart. They don't beat themselves. Guys just develop. He just finds guys that fit the system. Cameron Krutwick, how many centers do you see have his smarts out there? It's very rare to see. They're going to be a tough out for Oregon State. This is a game where, probably going to be the 50s and 60s. It's not going to be enjoyable for somebody who likes shootouts. But I really do love Loyola Chicago to win this game to Oregon State. I think, Ethan Thompson's been great for him. But, Loyola knows how to shut down your best guy. Porter Moser's great at doing that. And I think he'll be able to do that Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a very good chance of those 2 teams getting there. And I got one question, because you've watched these teams all year, and you've watched these teams throughout the last, you've obviously Syracuse pretty much your whole life, and probably Loyola, the last 4 or 5 years. Why do both these teams have Syracuse and Loyola? Why do these teams have so much success in the tournament?
Again, one side, it's coaching is a big part of it. And again, I think too, it's a lot of Jim Boeheim, for teams who don't face Jim Boeheim day in and day, or year in and year out, it's tough to beat this 2-3 zone. And I know even nowadays, still with guys being able to shoot, it's still
because I think it shuts penetration down. You're not able to penetrate the way you are when you play man. If you play man, you could get by your guy. Another guy, helps. Then you could kick the ball out to the corner, and a guy hits a 3. You can't do that in zone. That's more difficult in zone. You can't penetrate the way you can when a team plays man-to-man defense.
Yeah, it is definitely difficult. That's a great point. And then also too, with always at Syracuse length too, he's Buddy's 6'5", Gerard's like 6'4". He always has length at those spots too, where it makes it really tough.
So guys can't drive through the zone.
Yep, that too. So yeah, it's tough there. to be able to get through, and then they've just been shooting the ball so well. For Loyola, it's just Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach of college basketball, hands down. I really do.
Come on.
Who do you
cannot ignore how great Coach K is. You cannot ignore. And we talked about Jay Wright. We talked about Tom Izzo. Okay, those are clearly the top 3 coaches in college basketball.
I don't know if Tom Izzo's top 3. I don't know about that because look, this is what out of all these Power 5 or Power 6, whatever you want to say, how many of them are great at X's and O's? Like Porter Moser.
Oh, Coach K is very good at X's and O's. Jay Wright's very good at X's and O's. Tom Izzo, not as good as those guys at X's and O's. John Calipari, we know, is not the best X's and O's guy. You could see this year why John Calipari is not an elite coach. I mean, I know he didn't have a lot of practice time, but to be under 500 at Kentucky, come on. You know why John Calipari is not great, but you can't say Porter Moser is better than Coach K. Coach K is a legend. Coach K is a 5-time national champion. Coach K has been to 9 national championship games. You cannot say Porter Moser is better than Coach K.
Again, I think X's and O's wise he is, but that's just
what about recruiting? What about recruiting?
Recruiting for Duke. Look, the recruiting strategy for Duke it does not work. This is Duke and Kentucky. They have to change their ways because this is how you win the tournament with senior leadership and development. Yeah, fans may not be happy that they don't get the 5-star flashy guy, and it said it's a 3-star that's going to be the developing program you're going to watch for 3-4 years, be a great player. That's how you win in March. I don't really care about the recruiting. He develops his guys where, Lucas Williamson, he's not going to play in the NBA more than likely. Cameron Cartwright, I think, could be a G League guy, but he's not very athletic. But, again, his smarts, I think he should go into coaching whenever he's done with his playing career. X's and O's, because I'm like, Bill Self isn't, Tom Izzo ain't. The one about Duke is the most credit I give Mike Krzyzewski for is that 91 win against UNLV. I've seen that game. Everybody know he gave them a chance. I thought this year he wasn't great at the X's and O's.
He had a terrible team, though. He had a horrible team this year. That team was terrible.
Again, they still had some pieces around. For Duke to be 500 too it's very unacceptable. I think X's and O's wise, Moser's great. And again, he finds the right guys for his system. That's why I think the Paul should throw every cent they have on him. But to me, I really do like Moser. And I think they have a great game plan to be able to shut down Ethan Thompson. And the Beard offense, which has struggled at times, they've really shot the ball well since the Pac-12 tournament a few weeks ago, and they've kind of just carried momentum since then. But I do have Loyola winning like a very low-scoring kind of defensive battle.
We'll see what happens there. Yeah, you have Loyola going to the Elite Eight. So who do you have in your Elite Eight?
I got Loyola Chicago versus Houston, and I got Loyola.
Got Loyola winning?
Yep, I got Loyola back in the Final Four.
Wow, nice. And I actually have the same thing. I got Loyola beating Oregon State. I got Houston beating Syracuse because eventually a team's going to shoot threes on that dinosaur, and he's not going to adjust. And eventually they're going to get eliminated. So I got Houston and Loyola, and I got Loyola heading to the Final Four. So I got Baylor and Loyola in one of our Final Four matchups, and you got the same.
Yeah, that would be great. Loyola Baylor, I think, could be very interesting. I think Loyola can match up with them.
Yeah, so that's my first Final Four matchup. That's your first Final Four matchup. But we'll head to the West region where we got Creighton and Gonzaga, and we got a Pac-12 matchup, Oregon and USC. Very, very interesting matchup there. I think that's actually, for me, one of the most interesting matchups in this tournament. Seeing with the contrast in style, Oregon's guard play of with Richardson and Figueroa, and what's that guy's name? Starts with D. Duarte. Yeah, of course. With the no Pac-12 games, and that's another issue with Pac-12 games too. Yeah, they're only on late, but you can't find half of them because they're on the Pac-12 network, and I don't get the Pac-12 network. That's another reason, Jace, why I don't watch a lot of Pac-12 college basketball. Okay. That's another reason I got. I can't find the Pac-12 network on my TV. That's another reason I don't watch it. So yeah, so Yeah, so that should be a very, very interesting matchup. But first question for this region, Justin, is can anyone beat Gonzaga? Really?
I think USC and Oregon give them the best chance. Now, do I think they can win? Can Oregon or USC actually beat them? Again, I hope it's Oregon because one of my brackets has Oregon win the whole thing. That'd be beautiful. But I think again, the Mobley brothers I think could match up. I think we've talked about this before, but Evan Mobley, to me, he just does not like physicality. I don't know what it is, but he's not great. He kind of backed down a bit when he faced Josh Carlton. I felt like in that game.
Yeah.
That gave me a lot of warning signs about him. But I think with the guard play of Oregon, Dana Altman's one of the most underrated coaches I think in college basketball. I think Oregon. I think this is like the seven of the last 8 years they've been in the tournament. I think this is their fourth or fifth Sweet 16. And
they got to a Final Four 4 years ago and they lost to North Carolina.
Yeah, I think that team was a 3 or 4 seed, I think. But he's done a great job here, really elevating this program. And I think he could, I think he could kind of get a good game plan for this Gonzaga team. But again, I just don't know how I liked his idea of trying to, okay, let's just put one guy in Luka Garza, let him put up 50 points if he has to, but nobody else is going to score. Again, but, and the problem with that with Gonzaga is they just have so many guys that they're just, who do you want to take? If you take 5 guys on that team and go, which one do you want? There's just too many weapons on that team. But I think USC could too. They can match up size-wise. And I think USC's got some length too at their guards, but it'd be tough. I think both those teams could maybe hang around. I don't know if they could actually take them down. How good Gonzaga is right now.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I just think Gonzaga's, them and Baylor are clearly the top 2 teams in the country. You look at Gonzaga, there's no weaknesses. I mean, you got a good guard playing Jalen Suggs. I said I'm posting up yesterday. You got great guard playing Jalen Suggs. You got Drew Timme inside, and you got a Kispert who can hit 3. So there's really no weakness for Gonzaga. And obviously, you got them winning this region.
I do.
But you like your guys from Oregon. You like your guys from Oregon.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull the trigger actually.
You're gonna do it.
I may have just jinxed Oregon though. I may have just jinxed Oregon.
But you're gonna take Oregon.
I'm gonna take Oregon.
You got a 7 and an 8 in the. Oh yeah, this happened. This has happened before. You have a 7 and an 8 in the Final Four.
Yeah, it's happened. Yeah, 14. 14 and 14. Do that 14. I could see it.
Of course, Jace is a big fan because a Pac-12 team. It's an upset. Jace is all pumped up that you picked Oregon.
Yep. Yeah. I think they could. I think they could do it. I think they could be able to score with them. They can get enough stops. If Eugene or Umarui, he played really well. I felt like against Iowa. Chris Uwar, I think really is going to make a name for himself. But yeah, Gonzaga has no weaknesses. That's why it really does scare me. Jalen Suggs was a 4-star quarterback too in high school. Like he got offered to play for Big
Ten. I remember that. Yeah, I remember.
So, he's a great athlete. Timmy Kispert could be tough match down low. Their worst shooting day was Monday with 49%. That's the worst shooting performance they've had all year.
Wow.
And they won 25 straight double-digit games. Look, BYU gave them all they could handle a few weeks ago in the West Coast Conference Finals. I think Oregon's, could do it. But, yeah, Gonzaga just no weaknesses. It does kind of scare me to take that, but, I'll call it. I think Oregon's the one team that could do it. I think Dana could put a pretty good matchup together for them. I'll take Oregon to win this region. I'll kind of I want to be chalk here because when did the expected happen here in the NCAA tournament? It never does.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But I got Creighton. I got Gonzaga beating Creighton pretty good by double digits. We got. What if Oregon State plays the national title? Let's entertain that idea. Hey, very good. That's possible. Hey, Oregon State for a national championship. the Civil War for the national title. That's pretty good. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Great idea for. I wasn't even thinking of that. Great idea by Hector there to really think of that, because what would happen is if let's just see what would happen. Oregon would have to beat they'd have to beat USC. They'd have to beat Gonzaga. They'd have to beat whoever wins the East region, and then Oregon State would have to beat. They'd have to beat Loyola Chicago, Syracuse, or Houston. Probably Baylor, and then we'd have that Oregon State national championship game. What would you think of that? How do you think that matchup would go if they played?
Oregon State's actually won 2 of the 3 this year, to believe it or not. So this would be I don't think that this would be really cool. I know Jason would probably love the idea.
Oh, they played. They've already played 3 times, so it would be the 4th time they play. Oh, wow.
Yep. So that's the interesting part. I'd probably take Oregon the game close. But, Wayne Tinkle's done an unbelievable job. Again, Oregon State was just playing so well. They beat them, back in the semifinals of the Pac-12 tournament. That'd be great. When's the last time we've actually had a rivalry game in the national championship? 80, the only one I can think of is 85.
85 with Duke and Louisville?
I mean 84 with Georgetown Nova.
No, 85 was 86 was Louisville Duke. 85 was Georgetown Villanova. Yeah, Big East battle in the final. You did have UConn and Kentucky, and that's a little bit of a rivalry because Calhoun was kind of still involved there in 014, and you had Calipari. Calipari's obviously, when those two go at, that's a rivalry. But but you got a good point. Really, for 2 teams in the same conference playing against each other, the last time I think we've had that was 1985 with Georgetown Villanova. That's a legendary game. That's a game everybody talks about with Rolly Massimino upsetting John Thompson.
Yeah, that was a great game. I kind of seen part. I haven't been able to watch a full game of that, but everything I've heard that would have run Nova had. But that'd be something cool. Now, actually, I did think about this one too because I actually saw it there. It was some Duke thing. UConn's actually ranked second on Duke's rivalry by North Carolina.
Yeah, because the reason is they beat them in 2 Final Fours. They beat them in the '99 national championship game when Duke had a great team. Duke's team only had 1 loss, and then UConn upset them. And then in 04, UConn beat Duke in the national semifinal game. And a lot of people will say and that did avoid an all ACC final between Georgia Tech and Duke. But a lot of people will say if Duke beats UConn, they win the national title in 2004. So UConn pretty much prevented Duke from having 2 national championships.
Yeah, which is great, love that. But I remember that 99 one. Nobody really thought UConn was going to win that. Everything I've heard, everybody was on Duke.
No.
Yeah,
not at all. Yeah.
Be very rare to have a rivalry game like this, but it'd be great. I'd be all in for Oregon State. That'd be great for the Pac-12. That'd be great.
I was not thinking of that at all. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Hector. Thanks a lot for Hector for bringing that up. I mean, I wasn't thinking of that at all, but I'd be looking forward to that. I think we should get it. He said, I think we should get a Baylor Gonzaga. I think we should get Baylor versus Gonzaga. The game was canceled. Yeah, no, that would make a lot of sense. Getting Baylor Gonzaga because that would that right. I'm not gonna. I'll say it once we wrap up college basketball. But that would be great if we get that in the national title game because that game got canceled due to COVID.
Yeah, definitely. Those have been pretty much the 2 best teams all year. We kind of got that game taken away from us. That'd be great. I think that national champion, 2 teams too that have never won a national championship either. So they got all that, kind of, 1 game away from getting their first ever title. So that'd be the matchup to watch at this point. With 16 teams left.
So speaking of Gonzaga, going back to their region, I got them beating Creighton, I got Oregon beating USC, and then I got Gonzaga beating Oregon in the Elite 8. So you got Oregon, I got Gonzaga. So that's where we differ a little bit on the West region. Now going to the East region with Florida State. We got Florida State and Michigan, and we got UCLA and Alabama. The question is we know Michigan and Bama are the favorites in this region, clearly the favorites. Between UCLA and Florida State, who has a better chance of getting to the Final Four?
I got Florida State and Leonard Hamilton. I think with their length, with their size, they got 3 guys.
I actually think they're going to beat Michigan.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Joe. I think they will because they got 3 guys that can match up with Hunter Dickerson.
If Michigan can't shoot against Florida State, they're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, it definitely. LSU, they beat an LSU team that plays absolutely no defense. If you watch that game on it, they did not They did not care at all defensively. That's been their problem all
Will
year.
Wade needs to be fired. He's a terror. He's not a good. He's above. He's maybe if he's like an average to above average coach at best. His teams don't play defense, but the talent they have, they can't be scoring that many points and losing that game.
No, they can't. And he should be because that and because of the recruiting scandals. But again, I don't know if you heard, but it sounds like Sean Miller may be earning himself a contract extension. So
makes no sense at all. Terrible.
Yeah, I know. NCAA for just who knows? But he probably should be. I think Michigan no livers, probably not livers. But yeah, with Brooks, Johnny Brown, they really hit some shots big time for the Wolverines to be able to come back in that game. Yeah, I think Florida State size. Leonard Hamilton always has a lengthy team, and I think that could really bother Michigan in this game. Michigan, Florida State usually does a good job too at turning over. Michigan's good against that though. But yeah, this should be a fun one. That's going to be up and down. But yeah, if Florida State can shoot like they did on Monday night against Colorado, or is it going to be Saturday where they did against Greenberg, they didn't hit a three? That's the thing. What shooting team's going to come up big for the Seminoles? But yeah, I think the Seminoles right now are better positioned than the Bruins are.
Who do you got winning the region?
I got Alabama. I love their defense. They just shoot lights out. This Nate Oats has done an incredible job. I'll take back what I said. It was UConn, may have had a shot with Alabama. They would have probably beat them by 50. So that would have been ugly. UConn played Alabama one day. I got the Crimson Tide going to the Final Four for the first time I think in school history.
So for the Final Four for me, it's Baylor, it's Loyola Chicago. And I got Alabama, and I'll say what I got in the East region. I got Florida State beating Michigan. I got Alabama beating UCLA, and then I got Alabama beating Florida State. So for me, my Final Four right now is it's Baylor, Loyola Chicago, Alabama, and Gonzaga. And obviously in the final, I got what Hector wants: his Baylor Bears against Gonzaga. But right now, I do have Gonzaga beating Baylor in the final.
Yeah, right now. So I get Oregon and Alabama. I'll keep riding my Oregon Ducks here. I'll get a national championship game. And I'm actually going to go with Loyola Chicago. I'm going to go with a 7-8. First time we've had that since UConn, Kentucky back 2014. I think Oregon knocks off Loyola Chicago in the national championship game. I think Peter Mosier finds a way to slow down Baylor. And Jace Hughes.
Jace has got Gonzaga, Baylor, Bama, and Hughes. Of course, Jace has Hughes because he's a Syracuse fan. Let me tell you something. That is the one team I do not want to win the national championship.
Oh, God.
Any team can win, but Syracuse. After what happened with Jim Boeheim 2 years ago, I'm not going to get totally into it. To see him hold that national champion, to see him be crowned a national champion would make me sick. That is the one team by far I do not want to see win the national championship is Syracuse. I can't stand them because I'm a UConn fan, and I respect Boeheim as a coach, but unfortunately I don't respect him as a person, and we'll get to other. Be careful, you might talk yourself into. Listen, Jace, that is the last thing I want to see is Syracuse win the national championship in this tournament. That is the last thing I want to see. I'll rather see. I'll take seeing Oregon State make. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing anybody make a run outside of Syracuse. I do not want to see Syracuse win the national title. Anything but that.
Me neither. Oh, that made me sick, especially the way it finally looks like UConn's back, and it's like, well, Syracuse is not winning a national champion. That would, especially with. We talk about with Boeheim, and then also the way he just goes after reporters too is really.
It's ridiculous. It's absurd. He's such a douche to reporters. Oh God, he's such a douche to reporters. It's just it's awful. I mean, he's definitely he's a great coach, but I'm sorry, with what happened with the Bernie Fine situation, what happened 2 years ago, and the fact he's still coaching, he definitely is the coach I hate the most in college basketball.
Yeah, him, Calipari, Krzyzewski take my top three. So.
Oh yeah.
Right up there. But,
him and Calipari are my top two. I have the utmost respect for Coach K.
I have a little bit. I don't know. He's kind of come on the last few years too as a little going after reporter. I don't know. Yeah, again, this is why I forgot to mention this a few weeks ago. now we know why he won 130 or 149 teams. He knew his team wasn't going to be good this year in the tournament. That's why he wanted everybody in.
That's another story for another day. But yes.
Yeah, but yeah, Syracuse. Yeah, that would just. I don't know if I'd be able to get out of bed that next morning. I'd be very depressed.
That would be a tough sports moment. That would be up there from the Eagles winning the Super Bowl 3 years ago, the Red Sox winning the series in 2004. That wouldn't be as bad as that, but that would be up there if Syracuse won the national championship. That would be up there. But to recap, our Final Four is my Final Four is Baylor, Loyola Chicago. I got Baylor, Loyola Chicago, Bama, and Gonzaga. That's my Final Four. And yours, what was yours? Yours is same, but you just have Oregon instead of Gonzaga.
Oregon, yep. I got Oregon, Loyola Chicago in that championship game, and I got the Ducks taking home their first national title since 1939.
Wow! So you got Oregon winning the national championship. Yeah, that is crazy.
Babe just drank one of my brackets.
Is it Oregon over Baylor?
Oregon over Loyola.
You have an Oregon Loyola Chicago final. Oh my God, Oregon over Loyola Chicago. Oh my. Listen, you heard it first. Okay, I got Gonzaga Baylor. You got Oregon Loyola Chicago. We'll see what happens. But
when does he expect it happen in the tournament? When does that not happen? When the expected or on it? It's always unexpected. It's
I know. I get it. Okay, so your Oregon Loyola Chicago final can happen, and then my we'll see what happens. We'll see with two different finals. We'll see which one ends up happening. But we got big news in the NFL with Deshaun Watson and the Giants. Before that, we got a promo from Keys to the City.
Clovercrest Media Group presents a CMG podcast. Keys to the City.
Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know.
Crossed up by Kobe, little floated to Shaq, and then Shaq goes like this, and the rest is history. Pay attention. Don't tell me what to do, devil woman. But speaking of those Lakers, hold on, stun. But I didn't make my. I said Denver's gonna win. Yeah, you did. You said that.
There's no other show like that. Clovercrest is doing great things right now.
Streaming everywhere.
Thank you, Ted and Trevor, and obviously they'll be on Friday talking March Madness and these offseason moves in the NFL. But we have some moves and some unfortunate news, obviously, about Deshaun Watson over the last week. Now there's 16 lawsuits alleged sexual assault have been brought against him. It's very unfortunate right now. Very unfortunate situation. It's going to be tough to comment on this because we don't know if any of this stuff is true. Nothing has happened to him yet. He's not been arrested yet for anything. So I don't think it's going to be hard to comment on anything. But it's a crazy story for a guy that doesn't want to play for the Texans. And we'll see. He may not be playing any football this year, seeing what's going on.
Yeah, it's tough. We don't have any evidence. We don't know who's right or wrong in this. So yeah, it's kind of tough to kind of comment on all this. So. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Hopefully it gets solved, and you hope it's just a weird situation that it's kind of going on. It's weird timing, but it's kind of, but yeah, you just don't know, and I don't, you don't know what's going on in the situation. It's just, there's no evidence yet on anything, so you can't really accuse any side. I feel like right now.
Yeah. And the thing is, knowing how good he is, there's still interest from, the Broncos, the Jets, the Dolphins, the 49ers. There's still interest in Deshaun Watson because of how good he is, but we just don't know. I don't think he's going to be traded. I don't think he's going to be traded for a while seeing this news because there's just such an unknown if he's even going to play this year.
Yeah, you definitely, it's totally possible. I don't know. And I feel like if teams are still interested, I feel like they know something that maybe isn't true. But again, I don't want to start speculating on any of that, but I don't know. It could be a while. And I know they just signed Tyrod Taylor, for their emergency plan, I guess for the moment. But yeah, it's weird timing. Who knows? When we could see Deshaun Watson on the field again.
Exactly. Well, we'll be monitoring this story all throughout the offseason. But we got to get to some good news in the NFL, and that's the Giants. And they made a pretty big move on Saturday as they got their number one receiver. They signed Kenny Golladay. And for me, I like this move. I really do. I think this offense now with Saquon Barkley and Kenny Golladay. We got Daniel Jones. You got Sterling Shepard. You got Darius Slayton. And you look at the Giants on the defensive side of the ball. Re-signing Leonard Williams, obviously Bradbury and Martinez. They restructured their contract to open up some cap space to end up going out and signing Adoree Jackson as the number 2 corner too. I'm telling you, this is the year for Daniel Jones. If he does not have a good year this year, he is gone. There are no excuses anymore for Daniel Jones. They've now went out and got him they signed Kenny Golladay for $18 million a year. There's no excuse for Daniel Jones not to have a good season. If he has the year he had last year, he is gone. He has to have a good year. The Giants got to be a 9-10 win team. I'm predicting them to win the NFC East. In my opinion, I think they're the best team in the NFC East right now because they're the most solid team in the NFC East. If you look at the Cowboys, the problem with the Cowboys is they got a really good offense. I'll give them that. With Amari Cooper, with CeeDee Lamb, with Dak Prescott, with Ezekiel Elliott, with Tony Pollard, and their offense, and they should be getting Zach Martin. They should be getting Zach Martin and Lyle Collins back on the offensive line, and they should be getting Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins back on the offensive line. So their offensive line should be a little bit better. But defensively, the Cowboys, there's really one player you can trust in that defense, and that's DeMarcus Lawrence. That's it. And I know Van Der Esch, he was only really good his rookie year. He's dealt with injuries. Jalen Smith is overrated. Their secondary is absolutely terrible. So I think the Cowboys, they're a good team offensively, but they're not a well-rounded team because they struggle defensively. Washington, yes, a lot of people like Washington, but the problem with Washington is you don't know what you're going to get out of Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 37 years old. He's very turnover prone. I know they got a good front four. I don't want to hear great defense. I'm tired of hearing about great defense with Washington. They got a good defense. They got a great front seven, but the secondary is questionable. The linebackers are not great, but their front four is great, which makes their defense really good. And then the Eagles, they're to me, right now they're a dumpster fire. And you don't know what you're getting at quarterback at all with Jalen Hurts. You don't know what they're going to do with the number 6 pick. Their defensive line is aging. So for me, they're the worst team in the NFC East. And I think the Giants are the best team in the NFC East. And I think this move makes them the best team in the NFC East because they got the number 1 receiver that Daniel Jones needs. Now Daniel Jones has got to step up and make it happen.
Totally. I got the Giants right now as the best team too. You said it. They're the most well-rounded team in this division. Washington's offense, who knows? They picked up Curtis Samuel, which is another nice wide receiver that they need for this offense. But they need some work still in the secondary. Again, Ron Rivera is one of the best coaches, probably the best coach in the NFC East, I feel like. So, in year 2, they're going to take a step forward. But again, I don't see them winning more than 9. I see the Giants 10-11. Now, you hope for the Giants, too, that Barkley can stay healthy this year. Golladay can stay healthy.
That's the big thing. That's the big thing. If these two guys can stay healthy. I get the skeptics that say the Giants aren't going to be that good. And the big reason for that is Jones is inconsistent. And Kenny Golladay has missed 17 games in his first 4 years in the league. And Saquon Barkley's not been able to stay healthy. So that's going to be a humongous key to this Giants team is if those two guys can stay healthy.
Totally. If they can, I think they win 10, 11 games. Even if they are hurt, I feel like they're still, especially in the defense now with Adoree Jackson. That secondary is really, really good now. It was already good to start with. Now you just add another, good cornerback into that defense. So, I could even see the Giants win this thing at like 9-8 games. With their defense, I feel like too. They don't need Jones to put up 30 a game. I know you would like to have Jones.
Joe talks about that all the time. The Giants, they could win with their defense. They could win with running the football, and then Jones in the red zone get the ball to Kenny Golladay. Joe talks about it all the time. They gotta play Giants football. He brings it up on John about the G-men all the time. What the Giants got to do to be successful, and I think this team can be very successful if they're a run-first team with Saquon. Get in the red zone, throw the ball to Kenny Golladay, and play good defense.
Totally, and that's really it. It's all you need, Again, you don't need to play in shootouts, which is, I know, very popular nowadays. But you could play old school football and still have a good chance when you have a roster like this right now put together. So as long as Jones could stay away from the turnover this year, guys can stay healthy. I do really, really like this Giants team because there's nobody else. They're the most well-rounded. You just can't trust anybody else in the division right now. I think Washington finished in second. The Cowboys, yes, they could put up 35 a game, but they could give up 40 points on defense though. And then for the Eagles, they signed Joe Flacco yesterday. But I don't think that really moves the needle very much.
No, not at all. That's not 2012 anymore, where he was a franchise quarterback. It's not 2012 or 2014. It's not that anymore. Joe Flacco is now a backup. right now. But yeah, a lot of people are going to say, oh, you're just picking the Giants because you're a Giants fan. And that's completely not the case. Justin knows it. I'm not picking them because I'm a Giants fan. I didn't pick the Giants to win the NFC East last year. I'm picking them because there's no Tampa Bay in the NFC East. There's no Green Bay in the NFC East. There's no Rams in the NFC East. You're not facing Russell Wilson twice a year in the NFC East. So I'm picking them because they're the best out of a division. They're probably the best team in the worst division in football. Yes. I think this Giants team is improving and they're going in the right direction. That's why I think they're going to win the NFC East.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can't stand the Giants. You know that, Steve.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I still think they are going to win the division. Yeah, they're in the best spot right now. They're like the one team that kind of knows what they're doing right now. I think somewhat Washington does, but again, they still need some work on the offense. Dallas is kind of the defense. The defense
is bad because they waited to pay Dak Prescott too long, and Philly's just a mess.
Yeah, so it's like they're kind of the only team right now that solid on both sides of the ball in this division. Everyone else kind of has a weakness on one side of the ball, and I think that's why the Giants win 10, 11 games. I really do. I think they, in this division could go like 6-2 or 4-2. Yeah, 4-2.
Yeah, I think the very easy can go 4-2. 5-1 will be tough, but 4-2 is very doable.
Yeah, and that would definitely be enough. And again, the schedule too, I feel like, kind of get some favorable too. It's not going to be terrible. So I feel like 10, 11 wins is very manageable for this Giants team.
Oh, without question. Yeah, I mean, I think 11 could be a little high, but 9 to 10, very, very manageable.
Yeah, and obviously I think that'd be enough. Like I think Washington maybe.
Oh yeah, I think 9 wins is going to be enough to win this division. I really think 9. No, it's not going to be like last year where you could win the division with 7. You can't be 7-9 and win the division this year, especially with Dak coming back. Because with Dak, the Cowboys are going to win at least half. They're going to win half their games. They're going to be at least an 8-8 team. So I think 9-10 wins definitely wins this division in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. It's not going to be as bad as last year. It'll be a little bit better. Still won't be one of the best in the football, but yeah, I think as long as 9-10 wins, that should be all the Giants need here to get back to the playoffs.
Absolutely, but the first time in 5 years they get back to the playoffs, and if they win the division, it'll be the first time in a decade that they'd won the division. So it's been a lot of bad football for the Giants lately, but I feel like Joe Judge is starting to turn things around, and I think Dave Gettleman has put this team in position to be successful. And I would not have said this. 5 months ago. So Dave Gettleman is starting to grow on me a little bit.
Yeah. I think you were saying too, you want to go right in like October. It was,
I wanted them gone in October. Oh man, when they were 1-7, I did not want to be in the GM. I think the game where that kind of convinced me. All right, we have kind of a clue what we're doing was the Seattle game. When they won the Seattle game, I didn't mind having them back.
Yeah, they got better throughout the year. I think you and every Giant fan after that game, because I know a lot of Giant fans, they were blowing up my phone on Monday night. How excited they were. They want Gettleman. They're fans of Gettleman now.
Oh yeah. So
turn the corner.
Yeah, so we'll see. Big move for the Giants, and this is the year for Daniel Jones. He's got to get it done this year, or he will not be the Giants' quarterback of the future. But we got to get to the rest of the offseason in the NFL, and we got to do a kind of a free agency recap, and we'll do our winners and losers of free agency, and we'll start with my 3 winners of free agency. And obviously, my first winner is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's so obvious. I mean, who would have thought they would get with all these with these 4 guys being free agents, they would get every single one of them back. Chris Godwin was a free agent; he got franchised. Shaq Barrett was a free agent. He signed a 4-year, $72 million deal. Today, Ndamukong Suh was a free agent. He signs a 1-year, $10 million deal. And then Levante David, a 2-year, $25 million deal. They got all those guys back. It's crazy to think they got all of them back. It just shows you Tom Brady freed up cap space, pretty much brought this entire team back. And the Buccaneers, with what they did in free agency, they didn't sign other people's guys. They signed their own guys, and they got a great chance to repeat as Super Bowl champions.
100%. Again, they have to be the NFC favorites at this point in time right now. To be able to sign that whole team back, and then look, you're gonna have pieces in the draft too. You're gonna add some more guys, and it's Tampa team right now. They look like they have a really nice shot here to go back to back. it was crazy to see them re-sign both, all these guys back.
Absolutely, absolutely. My second winner is the New England Patriots, just because of how active the Patriots were in free agency, going out and getting Matt Judon to improve their front seven, going out and getting they were very weak at tight end last year, going out and getting Jonah Smith and Hunter Henry, going out and getting Nelson Aguilar at receiver. Just all the improvements they made to that team and really put them in position to be a team that definitely could contend for the postseason.
100%. But for me, Pat, I'm really excited for this Patriot team right now with their defense. Again, that they kind of get some more pieces around Cam Newton now, which I hope helps them out. But yeah, Bill Belichick's kind of, Bill Belichick did not want to go quietly here. He wanted to get back, and I know he's never been a big spender like this, but I think he really gets it that I haven't done well in the draft lately. I have all this money. Let me go spend it, and let me get back here in the title contender.
Yeah. But the Patriots, the Pats did a really, really good job this offseason to be competitive, especially in the AFC East and in the AFC. So my last winner, obviously, is my team, the Giants, and we discussed that. Just getting Kenny Golladay, re-signing Leonard Williams. I think Dave Gettleman has put this team in position, and as we said, the ball's in Daniel Jones' court now. He's got to get the job done.
100%. They got all the pieces around him. It's up to him now, and this being year 3, this is kind of the make it break a year for him. So it's kind of playoff or bust right now. I feel like for the Giants.
So Justin, who are your 3 winners from free agency?
I actually have the same 3 as you, so I'll kind of just take it short and brief. Number 1 was Tampa 2 for me. Yeah, to re-sign all those pieces from the Super Bowl. You add Gronk back. They lost one this morning. I thought James White was going to go there, but he came back to New England, which is nice. Happy to have James White back and running back this one. But Tampa, they're my NFC favorite right now with Tom Brady still. That's a scary team right now. Number 2 are my Patriots. I'm very excited to have all these defensive pieces. Jalen Mills, I think, could fit really well just because he can play all over the field, and Bill loves to move guys around. They got like Kyle Van Noy back. I like the depth that they added on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm really excited for this defense. I think it's going to be a really fun unit to watch. And then offensively, you brought in some weapons here. Hopefully, it can help out Cam. Hopefully, he can start to kind of look like he did the first few weeks before out COVID and kind of fell off. But I'm excited to see where the Patriot team is right here, where the Patriot team's going to be next year. Hopefully back in the playoffs. And then number 3 are the New York Giants. Going out, getting Golladay, getting Dory Jackson, re-signing Leonard Williams on that defense to be the anchor. This Giants team, they put themselves in. Obviously even before free agency, they were right there, but now they really went a step further here to put themselves in front, for the NFC East contention. I thought they did a really, really good job this offseason.
Absolutely. Now we go to our 3 losers, and there's really one big loser. I think everybody knows who the big loser is, and that's the Chicago Bears. I mean, you talk all offseason about going out and trading for Russell Wilson. You pretty much give up on Mitch Trubisky. I mean, you did during the season, and obviously they're not going to re-sign Mitch Trubisky because he signed with the Bills. They didn't give him the 5th-year option, so Trubisky's gone. But your solution at quarterback now is, and they better be, and I wouldn't be getting on if they didn't tell Andy Dalton he was going to be the starter. Your solution is to have Andy Dalton be your starting quarterback. When you're a GM and a head coach that's totally on the hot seat, and Andy Dalton is your starting quarterback, I don't get why Allen Robinson signed his franchise tender. Because if I'm Allen Robinson, I would want to get the hell out of there, as fast as I can. This has potential to be a disaster. This team has potential to be the worst team in the NFC, because I know they're good on defense, but those players are going to quit halfway through the season when they see what's going to happen in Chicago this year. I mean, those fans, when Andy Dalton starts to play poorly, they are going to boo him so much, it's going to be unreal. I'm telling you, the Bears are going to be a disaster. They are a disaster. I think they're going to be the worst team in the NFC. They were the loser of free agency, by far the biggest loser of free agency. That organization needs to fire their GM on the spot. Ryan Pace should not be employed. It's an embarrassment. that Ryan Pace is employed. He shouldn't be. He should be fired. I don't mind Matt Nagy. I think he's a above average, even you could argue good head coach, seeing some of the talent he's had on offense. But that general manager is absolutely terrible. He is absolutely pathetic. I mean, it all starts with passing on, Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, drafting Mitch Trubisky. Now you think Andy Dalton is the guy. The Bears are set up for a disastrous season. My number 2 loser is the Raiders. And I think the problem is I don't mind them getting Kenyon Drake. In my article, I did have them as one of my losers before they got Kenyon Drake, but I had to keep them there because of what they did with this offensive line. I mean, they traded Trent Brown, they traded Gabe Jackson. That made a little bit of sense, but the move that made absolutely no sense at all was them trading Rodney Hudson. He's one of the top centers in the league. You trade him to the Cardinals. That was a humongous mistake for the Raiders to make that move. And the thing is, if you saw Derek Carr back in 2018, he wasn't as good of a quarterback because his offensive line wasn't as good. Derek Carr has trouble under pressure, and the Raiders are not building this team to their strength. They need to hope and pray they run the ball well every single game for them to have success, because if they got to play from behind, they are in big, big trouble. And my last loser is the Seahawks. I mean, yes, they did get Gabe Jackson. They did sign Chris Carson, but Gabe Jackson doesn't move the needle and doesn't make that offensive line better. I think that offensive line is going to struggle. And that was the big reason why Russell Wilson wanted out. So my 3 losers are the Bears, Raiders, and Seahawks. Justin, who are your 3 losers?
Yeah, I got 2 of the 3 the same as you. Number 1 for me, I do have the Chicago Bears. That was very disappointing. Andy Dalton again. And I know, the GM's on the hot seat, but to already say you're starting quarterback, who knows? It just did not even try to draft a quarterback. I know it could be another, but you can't think, okay, I'm going to be fired, so I don't want to draft a quarterback. For whoever takes my job, I don't know. And then they got Allen Robinson back, but they didn't really do much else to help that offense. They didn't really do much because look, Andy Dalton was, decent last year.
What they were trying to do was trying to get Kenny Golladay to make it kind of how it was for him when he was with the Cowboys last year, having those receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Amari Cooper. They kind of wanted to make it that way. I heard they tried to attempt to sign Kenny Golladay, but Dalton started poorly, had a decent. I'm not saying Dalton was good last year for the Cowboys. He was below average. Maybe by the end of the year he was average at best, but he was not good for the Cowboys.
No, he wasn't. And he had 4 wide receivers and a great running back. Now he does not really have that, and he does not have an offensive line, and he can't scramble. So this could be a very long year for the Bears offense. This could be, going to be a long year, I feel like, for the Bears. Number 2 for me are the Vegas Raiders. I don't get what they were doing because they took a cap hit too when they traded Rodney Hudson. It just made no sense. But again, Gruden still has 7 years on his contract, so again,
he just does whatever he wants. Yeah.
The Raiders, they never change.
No.
And then I'll take it a step further line too. Then he lost 2 of his best wide, Nelson Aguilar, and I know Tyrell Williams didn't play last year, but he lost 2 wide receivers too. So,
but he also does have Henry Ruggs, and he also has Darren Waller, one of the best pass catching tight ends in the league.
He does. I thought Ruggs had I thought they were expecting more for Ruggs last year. He wasn't, but great. But
we got a comment here. My 3 winners: the San Francisco 49ers, the San Francisco 49ers, and the San Francisco 49ers. They signed free agents Trent Williams and Alex Max. Winning them 40. Alex Mack is past his prime, though. Let's be honest. Yes, Alex Mack was with Kyle Shanahan in that 2016 season with the Falcons, but Alex Mack is past his prime. And I did like I really like the Trent Williams signing, though, especially when you have a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo who gets hurt a lot. It's very important to have a good left tackle. Really important to sign Trent Williams. So I like that signing. They're there by the 49ers.
Definitely, yeah. It was important to keep Williams on that offensive line to keep your quarterback healthy in that NFC West, which is, just a ton of passers you got to face week in, week out. So, I thought the Niners did have a good job re-signing all of their free agents this offseason. And then my 3rd loser, I had the Indianapolis Colts. I did think about the Seahawks. They did not do anything in the offensive line to help out Russell Wilson, but I thought the Colts too because they got Wentz. They re-signed Marlon Mack. I thought they could have done a little bit more to kind of upgrade themselves, especially in that AFC South where it's really just you and the Titans right now. I thought they could have done a little bit more to try to make that next step. I know T.Y. still out there. They could still re-sign him, but and then another like left tackle too. I feel like they could have tried to go and find out there again. Maybe they're dressing them in the draft, but I thought they could have added a little bit more around Carson Wentz after they got him to put themselves in a better position here. To kind of pull away a little bit from the Titans in the AFC South.
But this is where I disagree with you. The Colts still. You remember the Colts now have to pay. I think this offseason they're going to have to. They're probably going to extend Darius Leonard and they're probably going to extend Quentin Nelson. So I think the Colts. I trust what Chris Ballard's doing there. I think he wants to keep his own guys. They signed Xavier Rhodes. They signed Marlon Mack. They very well could sign Justin Houston and T.Y. Hilton to team-friendly deal. So I trust I'm not going to call the Colts losers because I like that organization. I really trust that organization. That team won 11 games last year with below-average quarterback play. I trust what that organization is doing. I trust the head coach. I think they have a plan. They don't like to spend big. They did trade for DeForest Buckner last year, but they don't like to spend big on other people on free agency. They like to build through the draft. And they like to sign their own guys. So I think the Colts have a plan there. So I disagree. I could see your point because they didn't go big in free agency with a lot of cap space, but I think they're spending wisely. They're spending it on signing their own guys.
Yeah, which is that's something the Colts have always felt like they've done well. It's kind of me. I just felt with the space they still had. I feel like if they tried to go get a Kenny Golladay type, another number one, because it's kind of been their wide receiver, and I know Galladay's another wide receiver that's kind of banged up the last few years, and I know, most of the Colts weapons have been as well, but you kind of add him, give another weapon here for Carson Wentz. I felt like really could have helped this offense out a bit. Definitely, having to resign Nelson and Darius Leonard. Definitely huge priorities for him. I just thought they could have spent a little bit and helped out, gone to get a little bit outside of town. This is, definitely a really good organization. They got, after they lost Manning, they kind of had that quick little rebuild, and they've been pretty good ever since. So I feel like they could have tried to do a little bit more to make themselves Super Bowl contenders.
They could have, but I like how they went out and signed their own guys. I like the plan they have in Indianapolis. And I think they're good. I think they're still. I don't care what they didn't do in free agency. I still think they're the best team going into the season in the AFC South.
I do too. I think the Titans. I know they added Bud Dupree for a pass rusher, but I think with their Titans defense still isn't great, and I think that's gonna kind of cost them. And I do think the Colts right now are still the best team in the AFC South. I thought they could take it one step further as well, in the free agency.
Absolutely. So, it should be interesting to see what happens. We got the draft coming up soon. We'll be talking about that. But, it was a good free agency, and we're looking forward to the draft in a couple of weeks. But we got to shift to the NBA, and we've had two big injuries in the NBA, and that was LeBron James, as he had an ankle injury in Saturday's games against the Lakers. And for me, this Laker team could fall. I saw them play last night without him and AD, and they're not a good team without the two of them. I mean, they got blown out by the Pelicans, and I could see this team falling, and I could really see that. I could potentially see this team having to play in the play-in round. Right now, they're in fourth. They're 4.5 games ahead of the Mavericks, but I could at least see them fall to 6 because they're only 2.5 games behind the Blazers. So I could at least see them fall to 6. And in my opinion, because they play the Mavericks twice, and the Mavericks can win that season series, and the way the Mavericks are playing right now, they're playing really well. I could see them falling to 7. In my opinion, and I'm going to go on a limb here, I think the Lakers, if LeBron and AD miss a significant amount of time, like a bunch of games in the second half, I could see the Lakers being the number 7 seed in the Western Conference. That's what I could see. But Justin, I have a question. How far do you think the Lakers will fall due to LeBron's injury?
What I was hearing too from Frank Bull, it sounds like they're not going to rush him or LeBron back. I'm with you. I could see them dropping to 6, 7, even maybe 8, depending on how long these two guys are out. I did watch a little bit last night. Yeah, I was very unimpressed with this Lakers team. Again, I know they kind of have some more depth, but outside of like a Kuzma, Morris, they don't, Dennis Schroeder, that's really about it. I know Montes Harrell played well last night, but they don't, it's just offensively, I think they're going to struggle. And then, defensively last night, they just weren't great. I could really see this team falling, free falling, 6-7. I know because I think coming up to begin April, they have like a 7 or 8 game road trip too out, probably, I think at the Clippers and then like 6 games out east. So, which I think that the Raptors, the Sixers, the Celtics, I could see them going 2-5 on that road trip and kind of maybe, it just, I do see the Lakers kind of free falling right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, just shows you how much AD and LeBron mean to that team. I mean, the fact that they're this bad shows you why those guys are clearly top 10 players in the game.
Absolutely.
I mean, we all know LeBron's number 1, but AD's clearly a top 10 player in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. When those two guys are on, they can put up 75, 80 themselves. And, you don't need much from the rest of the team at that point. So, it definitely does show. Because, the Pelicans aren't a great defensive team. They're decent, I feel like. But, they just, they don't, outside of, a Kuzma, like a Dennis Schroeder, Harrell's a nice piece. But, they don't have a guy on this team that can go get you, 25, 30 besides those two. And, that's kind of the issue. And you kind of need those guys nowadays to win in the NBA. And they don't have that without AD and LeBron out of the lineup.
Absolutely. But we had another big injury on Sunday in the NBA, and LaMelo Ball fractured his wrist. He is out for the he's out for the season. In my opinion, I still think with Gordon Hayward and with Terry Rozier, because the Eastern Conference is weak at the bottom, because of the way the Raptors are playing, the Raptors have been playing absolutely terribly, and they're probably going to trade Kyle. They could very easily trade Kyle Lowry and Norman Powell. I think the Hornets will still sneak into the playoffs because of the play-in tournament. I still think the Hornets get the number 10 seed. I think they definitely struggle without LaMelo. I mean, since he's been starting, he was averaging 25-5. But I think they fall. I think they fall out. I think they drop all the way to 10th. But I still think they make the playoffs, and I still think they play in the play-in tournament. And I do think that LaMelo Ball should still be the rookie of the year over Anthony Edwards. I mean, the impact he made in the games he started, the way he played, I think he played enough games for him to be rookie of the year. And but Justin, here's the question I was going to ask: Are the Hornets still a playoff team, and should LaMelo be rookie of the year?
I'll start with the Hornets being make playoffs. I'm with you. I think they do. Right now they only have 2 games on the Pacers, who are right now in that 10th spot right now. But I think they have enough around with Terry Rozier, with Devontae Graham, with Gordon Hayward. I still think they have enough around to be able to. Obviously losing a 22-point score and LaMelo Ball is going to be a tough loss. But I think they have enough around where they're going to be okay. They'll find a way to sneak in. They also have Malik Monk, who I thought has been playing well this year. They have enough where I think, they can kind of they can still get in like that 9-10 seed. I don't think they'll make the top 8. Because I see the Celtics kind of jumping above them, and maybe even the Pacers. Actually not the Pacers, but I don't know. I see the Raptors maybe start playing better, maybe, but I could see them getting the 9th or 10th seed. And then for rookie of the year, I know he probably has played enough because they just played over the halfway point of the season, but I do have to make a case for my guy Tyrese Haliburton.
Dude, come on. What, dude, if it's not him, it's Anthony Edwards. Come on.
I think he's ahead of Anthony Edwards, Haliburton.
How many points is Haliburton averaging a game?
15.
No. Anthony Edwards has definitely had a better year than Haliburton. Yeah, I know you want to make a case for your guy who's on the Kings, but come on. There's no way it's not going to be Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball. And I know you're going to probably say it's because no one watches Kings games.
That is a part of it. But when I see this team on the floor, when he's on the floor, it's a different off. And look, their offense is top 10 scoring wise. They don't stop anybody. They can put up points. The passes he makes, to find guys who are open. This offense is different when him and Fox are out on the floor. When they can get out in transition. Look, I know. Look, we're nowhere near. I think we're like 3 games out of the playing game right now, but. Look, I really like, him and Fox at this core right now. I know we're not great, and I know the record's not impressive or anything, but I was trying to find his plus-minus numbers. I couldn't find it, But for most of the games I see, he's like, plus 10, 12 when he's in these games. I feel like he's making a difference, and for him to fall to 12 to us was a steal. For what he's the team's not great, yes, but I feel like he's made a difference, and if they could get some more pieces around him and Fox, look, I like our new GM, Monty McNair.
Well, he needs to fire. He needs to fire your head coach. That's what he needs to do. He needs to fire Luke Walton. Luke Walton's terrible.
Oh yes, he makes no absolute adjustments because every third quarter we get blown out. It feels like just because the other coach.
And that's terrible. That's terrible coaching because you're right. You just said it. No adjustments at all.
No, you cannot win in the NBA. So look, I would like to we get a new head coach again. Our division is just. It's just so tough being in the Pacific Division. It's gonna be tough to climb out of the hole, but we could get kind of draft another guy or two. But I feel like Halpern has really done a good job this year. I feel like our team's a bit, we finally drafted well, but he's just they've been different when he's on the floor. He's been to be able to play like that 1-2 spot, side by side with Fox. It's really I feel like helped out Fox too this year. But that's kind of my case for Halpern.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think he's really going to get much consideration. I think it's going to be Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball. But you made a pretty good case that he should get some consideration for some voters. It's just because LaMelo Ball is well known. Anthony Edwards was the number 1 overall pick. They're probably going to pick one of those two guys. But we got to get to the trade deadline and a couple names we've heard out there, and the first one obviously is Lonzo Ball. We've heard stuff about him. We've heard stuff about the Hawks, the Bulls, the Nuggets. As he's going to be a restricted free agent. Do the Pelicans really want to move forward with him when you've got franchise players like Zion and Ingram? But I do think that they're going to hang on to him just because the Pelicans do still have an outside shot at getting to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they do hang on to him. I know. Clippers would like them for some depth. And I know maybe I felt like, they may trade him. They kind of gets, I know to kind of get some of these younger guys going, like try to get some of these younger guys some experience like a Josh Hart or a Nicole Alexander Walker. But I do think they hold on because they're in the playoff hunt at the moment. So I feel like, if they don't get what they want, I feel like, the Pelicans probably hold on to Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be fun to see what LeVar's reaction would be if he does get traded tomorrow. We'll see that'd be a funny reaction to see what happens if he ends up getting traded. But what his dad would say if he ends up getting traded.
Especially he goes to like the Clippers or something.
I know, yeah.
He's going after the Lakers. Like he's gonna shoot guys out or something. Oh
yeah. So another guy is a Kyle Lowry, and two big teams for him are the Heat and the 76ers. The Heat, though, would have to probably give up Tyler Hero, which they're probably not going to want to do. So I think the team that has the best chance of getting him is the Sixers because then they would probably have to give up Tyrese Maxey, but that would pretty much be another young guy. But if he goes to the Sixers, I think the Sixers are – I still don't think they're better than the Nets, but I think – that could get them. I think they're pretty even with the Bucks right now. I think that would get them, above the Bucks. They get Kyle Lowry because Kyle Lowry is a guard that can shoot the ball.
Definitely, again, Kyle Lowry too. If it's Philly, that's his hometown. He played at Villanova. Like I think that would be for him. I think he would love to go play there. And I think it would help too that he's won a title. He can help out Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid to get to that level. I think, if you're the Sixers, I think, you got to make that move. The Sixers need another shooter. I'm with you. They're still not better than the Nets, but I'd probably put them second. I think they're better than the Bucks, and beat second in the Eastern Conference. The Heat, I don't think you should give up Tyler Hero because Lowry's 35. I know he said he'd sign an extension, wherever he gets traded to, but I don't think it's worth giving up Tyler Hero.
Oh no, not at all. I don't think so. I mean, I think Lowry's a good player, but he's not a great player, and I still don't think the Heat are good enough to be. I don't think really anybody in the East is good enough to beat the Nets, but I don't think the Heat are good enough. Even though they're the defending Eastern Conference champions, they're not good enough to beat the Nets. Another player who's probably going to be traded. The Rockets are probably going to trade Victor Oladipo. Teams I hear could be interested are the Celtics, the Knicks, the Lakers, and the Heat. And as a Knicks fan, I don't want to give up too much for Oladipo, especially if he's going to be a free agent next year.
Yeah, definitely. For it'd be nice I get for the Knicks to have another night, but then it's like kind of I know Barrett, I know Reggie Bullock's. I know it's starting at the 2. I know it'd be an upgrade, but yeah, if he's not going to re-sign, I wouldn't. I feel like the Knicks right now, yeah, they're going to be a playoff team, but they're not there yet to chase the Nets. If they were, I would say pull the trigger and go for it. But I don't think the Knicks aren't there yet. I could see the Celtics. I think should really make a move for them. They need another shooter.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see the Celtics definitely making a move for him. Also, I can see the Celtics making a move for Aaron Gordon, who wants to get away from the Magic, and I think that would be a piece that would help the Celtics too.
Definitely, to add another forward. Coming off his injury, I think he's been playing pretty well. I think 2 or 3 games ago, I think he had like 38 points or whatever. I tired of losing. I was really high on this guy a few years ago. I know he was rumored to go to the Kings a few years ago, but it never really happened. But yeah, I know the last 2 years of production's kind of been down a bit. But yeah, I think it would be another nice addition for the Celtics to get a guy like Aaron Gordon. Kind of hungry. It seems like he's hungry to win, and I think Celtics need love to have another guy like that. Want to go get back in the Eastern Conference race.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio and our producer Jace Garcia, did a great job. I am Steve Risser, and we'll be back next week previewing the Final Four and talking some baseball. We'll have our MLB preview. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Welcome to Ivy League Murders. On this podcast, we focus on cases affiliated with the Ivy League, exploring the darker side of higher education. What happens when genius becomes evil? My name is Sarah Alcorn. I'm a Harvard graduate, and I've been a private investigator since 1999. Join me and longtime crime diva Laura McDonald for Ivy League Murders.